10 games. So he's definitely going to be one of those rookies that we're going to be paying close attention to. Now going straight into the draft, eStars, they have wisened up. They're not letting LWX take that Kai'Sa again.
And we see FPX keeping with a similar plan. They're banning out the Graves like they did in Game 1, still taking away the Thresh. Everyone who watched LPL last year knows it's Xiaoxi's best champion by far. It also does a good job at stopping a lot of these very short-ranged, all-in compositions that FPX wants to play from the Flay and the box that the Thresh provides.
We are going to be looking at what eStars takes away next. A lot of junglers still on board. And taking a look at LWX's pool, he actually hasn't played that many champions. He's only played Kai'Sa, Aphelios, and Misfortune. So potentially eStars could look to pinch LWX a little bit more, try to see if they can get him on another champion. Once again, Hacker's 100% win rate Pantheon is going to be taken off of the board. That's been, in terms of win rate, the best champion out of the jungle pool for LPL, so no surprises there. Nuguri's Gnar is going to go down, and this has been a surprisingly long ban phase.
I think for the side of eStar, I'm actually kind of perplexed by this ban because you potentially could have opened the Olaf and then you do a trade. You give FPX the Olaf, but you get the Renekton plus AP jungle combo. If I was FPX here, you would expect them to just go ahead and take that Renekton pick. Again, they first picked this champion before. It's something they're very comfortable on, and it's something in the LPL that doesn't have all that many answers.
Yeah, we have seen some Quins in other leagues come out, some mainly just Quinn actually, as sort of the counter that we're missing here in the LPL, but like you mentioned, that is going to be the first pick. On the flip side, eStar is looking to expand their bottom lane pool. If Rat does take Samira here, it will be his debut on the champion.
It would definitely signify they're going to play around that bot lane, right? Because Samira's a champion who really wants to get into the thick of things. You want to play around her, you want to try and get her ahead. I think picking an engaged support here would also be quite nice. Typically with the Samira, we have seen the Alistar be the one that's picked up because of his, I'd say, diversity in his play style, but we did see Chris man the Rel last game, and it does seem like a champion that has a lot to offer in terms of frontline and engage.
You do have the Airborne on the mount up side of her ability on Rel, so that's going to be the combination there. And she can also keep people in the Infernal trigger with the Magnet Storm, so that might be a combo we can look forward towards. While FPX, they are going to lock in AP plus AD combination like you were mentioning for mid-jungle, so Bo is going to be on the Talia, the second best champion, and Alistar being selected. We've seen so many games where Cold's Alistar just shuts down the Samira pick. I honestly think that you take Alistar Samira just for the fact that you don't have to play against it.
I agree, right? He does such a good job at shutting that champion down, and FPX's first 3 picks already set up very well for success. They highlighted the Kled, I think a bit of cheeky, like, hey, eStar, you need to respect this pick as well, but we need to remember the Renekton is a flex, and eStar gonna work back towards that very stock and standard front-to-back team fight sort of composition with the Ornn locked in.
Yep, and eStars looks like they are shifting gears. We talked about this a lot. You know, big question over eStars' head. Can you play it through the bottom lane? They're definitely going to give it a go right here. They are going to ban away the Xayah, and that's an interesting one since LWX has never actually played Xayah. We see Stake having a laugh at that one, and LWX himself looking a little bit perplexed. It's like, they banned something I don't even play. Win for me.
I'm really curious to see where eStar go with their jungle role. I feel like the AP junglers that are left open fit kind of awkwardly into their comp. Nidalee obviously wanting to play at a range where you have a very all-in sort of composition. Lilia as well feels like it's not the best pick. Lee Sin is one of Hacker's go-tos, was already banned. And the only other thing that he has played that's left open is the likes of a Hecarim, which, I mean, Hecarim I think is fine in this meta. He does get he's a bit slow at getting started in the early game, so eStar would at least need winning lanes, but Clement FPX took that away as well.
Ponies are all about friendship, but FPX doesn't allow friendship. They don't want the Rel Hecarim combination. They're going to take that one out. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, the question really is, what is there left in Hacker's pool? He might have to go back to something that he hasn't selected this season whatsoever. He might have to go back to champions that well, he might go back to Lilia. That's, you know, that's another 4-legged creature that goes well with Rel, I assume. That was kind of superficial, I admit, but but what do you want to see out of FPX?
I think just kind of keep all inning on this early game skirmishing and team fight. I would like to see either the Jin or the Misfortune here, but instead going with the Vayne. So wanting to bring a bit of spice, you obviously have that Condemned to kind of keep the Samira at arm's length and reposition the fight. Really good against a lot of the frontline champions that the likes of eStar are bringing out. And then Set coming in, you expect it to be put in the mid lane, but could be a flex towards top as well. Set obviously doing quite well into that Ornn matchup.
Looks like eStars are considering an AD mid laner now that they have Lilia, an AP jungler. And we saw Yone being hovered, also the Lucian here. But it will go back to the Orianna as the final pick for eStars. So walk me through this these compositions, Lyric. What do you see it on both sides?
For eStar, right, they kept it the same as last game. You have the double front line, you have the ability to go all in. The nice thing about Lilia is she at least presents a bit of, I'd say, non-committal engage, right? You can throw out the swirl seed, try to find a sleep and find the right timing, but they're scaling on their side. They want the pure 5v5. FPX is more interesting, and it's going to be really curious to see where the Renekton and Set do both go. I'm expecting it to stay the same as it is now, but it's going to be a lot of what we saw last game. You're going to be playing to the strength of your top and mid laners. You have the setup there in both lanes for the Taliyah full combo coming out from both laners having stuns. It's going to be a lot about early game skirmishing coming out from them, and then maybe transitioning to a 1-3-1 setup later on in the game.
So FPX definitely favored in the early game. They have the skirmish advantage, while on the other side we have eStars coming in with the more teamfight focused composition, but with a different laning emphasis now that they do have the Samira and the Rel into the bottom side. I really think that this sort of a matchup does come down a lot to junglers, because the junglers for eStar's Hacker has to keep his lanes alive. He has to make sure he defends his own jungle while keeping up his own farms. There's a lot of different points of pressure that FPX can throw at you. While in the meantime, if Bo can find his combination with Renekton or Set, then it just seems like they can start the snowball early.
That's the thing is, junglers are really going to find this matchup because they work in very different ways with these compositions. Taliyah's a lot more of a lane-focused jungler. It's about finding these ganks first and then transitioning the successful gank into taking vision or taking a neutral objective, to where Lilia, it's about using your supposed winning lanes into finding your own advantages within the enemy jungle and then transitioning that into taking objectives. So I feel like the Lilia is going to have his work cut out for him this time around because Renekton will have push in the top side. Set should get bullied out maybe early on off the first few waves, but then like all bruisers in the mid lane, you're going to be able to ignore the minimal damage that a late game mage can do to you in the early game.
Yeah, not really much that the Orianna can do to dent the Set. So once again, Doinby is going to be playing with his favorite thing in the world, and that is mid lane priority. Going to be able to roam the map and make things happen all over the place, while eStars once again a little bit more on the defensive side of things. We are a little bit sorry. Seems like we have some sort of a tech delay going into game 2, but we definitely will be heading into game shortly. You know, I just want to talk about the expectations of eStars this split, because at the start of things, we definitely put them in the bottom with the rest of the lottery teams like OMG and TT and Rogue Warriors, or maybe even LGD, but they definitely proved to be a cut above those teams and sort of in this purgatory tier of their own, where they're not really with the top 12, but they're not really with the bottom 4 either.
Yeah, eStar are an interesting one because they definitely have some good pieces on this team, right? Xiaoxi has these moments where he's either single-handedly carrying the game or just constantly getting caught out while looking for these aggressive plays. Irma, as we highlighted last game, and I think a lot of people could see from his teamfighting and skirmishing, very promising mid laner coming in, and I think Hacker has been a pretty good fit for this team. And you have a lot of, I'd say, team-oriented elements. Hacker and Xiaoxi are both very team-oriented players, as even Crisp said in his statement before the game. So you have both a team foundation and I'd say like an individual mechanic foundation coming for both sides. So it is kind of sad that they are kind of the gatekeeper of not exactly playoffs, but better than the true bottom of the barrel who are missing either the player skill or the team elements.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming in with that. There's a lot of very old rosters on The bottom four, like OMG, LGD, and Rogue Warriors, all fall into that category. eStars, you definitely have a little bit more development going on, I would say, with players like Xiao Si and players with Irma as the highlights of kind of this team. And I always enjoy watching the players when they can't talk to anyone. This is part of our rules. But they also have to just stare at their screens. They usually come up with some very interesting fidgeting. And I felt like Rat was shaking the most here. Rat definitely seems a little bit nervous on stage. Probably is the first time he's actually been playing in Stadium.
So actually, the thing that usually happens in these moments, Clement, is the players, I guess it depends if they're in the game lobby or in the game. If they're in the game lobby, they're definitely probably like talking to each other, chatting some, putting some confidence, if you know what I'm saying. I can't say the word I want to say, Clement. We're a family-friendly broadcast. Point is, Clement, they're talking to each other, they're bantering, and it's all a good time. It's all a good time, Clement. I know, I've been on that stage. I've seen what those players say to each other.
I really want to have that LEC cam where we can say what the players are actually typing in all chat. A lot of the times it's a lot of trash, but it's funny, and that's what we like. We love humor. And FPX have been known to be one of the best trash talking teams in the entire LPL. That's known as their corporate culture. Unfortunately, because of the nature of trash talk, we won't be able to share a lot of it with you.
The funnier part is knowing how FPX functions as a team. If any of you follow their social media, they really like to trash talk and banter each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if FPX isn't talking to eStar at all. And, they're just like ribbing LWX right now, because that's what seems like what they're doing a lot of the time in their videos on YouTube and on Twitter and along those lines.
I saw a video where Gimgoon said that you have to tear LWX down. You cannot let it get to his head that he's actually a good player. So they constantly tell him that, hey, LWX, you performed well, but you're not even the best AD carry on the team. Gimgoon is, or something like that along those lines, and they just make sure he does not have an inflated ego.
Yeah, in their last win in the press conference, Doinby got asked to rate LWX's performance when he got MVPs, and he said 3 out of 100.
That seems incredibly low for what LWX has delivered for the team. Did he actually give an explanation for that rating?
I don't think so. I think he just threw it out there, which I respect even more, Clement. We don't want explanations here. We just want arbitrary numbers.
Oh my god. On a scale from 9 to 10, how good do you think you are? Like, questions like those are the real hard hitters,
Yeah, that is true. And okay, question, Clement. On a scale of 1 to 100, what are eStar's chances in this match?
I'd say probably -5. They're such a rookie team.
Oh, I would even give them like a 30 or a 25, something along those lines. There's always a puncher's chance, Clement.
I know, but this is eStars trying to realign their focus into the bot lane, and we've never seen them done that. This is them being forced into a corner and having to reinvent themselves. So I want to give them a really low number, and as a play-by-play, then announce it as eStars doing the impossible. That's what play-by-plays do, We have to get that overhyped drama and those narratives that are completely driven by broadcast.
It's like when Hysterics said the LGD were going to win Worlds. I got it, man. I got it.
You also said IG was going to win Worlds, and they didn't even get past LGD.
Hey, to be fair, before 2020 playoffs, summer playoffs, that actually seemed realistic.
To be fair, that is honest. That is a good point. They were 8-0 with Botland, and then they crashed and burned in postseason like they always do. But coming back into this game, we're going to be taking a look at the runes. It is going to be the Dark Harvest. This is one of Bo's favorites right here. We do see a lot of phase rushes as well, but he really prefers the Dark Harvest. And early on in the laning phase, we did see eStars gather into the top side and make sure they cleared away the early Raptor ward. So Hacker is not going to be figured out on where he is actually starting.
I've been just going to do that top side clear. An interesting thing I want to hit on is the fact that Set in mid now does take the fleet footwork. If you remember when he was a meta kind of standard last season, he would always take phase rush. But Set actually did take a lot of nerfs in the middle and towards the end of the 2020 season, and that's why we started to see him fall out of the meta bit, especially in the soul lanes. I think his base health got reduced, the AD ratios, his Haymaker base damage got reduced, just a ton of things that made him very hard to play in these soul lanes, and now he really does need to sustain from that fleet footwork to go toe-to-toe with a lot of these ranged matchups.
And I do want to get your opinion on this set build because he is running with Ghost as well, and just checking, but only 5% of sets actually take Ghost. So what do you think about this summoner choice?
Whenever it comes to Doinby, anything that just helps him be able to go in more all-in, right? Things like the Predator on a lot of the champions he plays, like along the lines of the Rumble, I'm just not too surprised. They do have a composition that does just want to go headfirst into the enemy team anyway, right? You have the Renekton, you have the Alistar, so I think it makes sense with Doinby's playstyle of the fact that we know he's going to want to get out of this lane early. He's going to want to go help Bo, maybe play towards that top side early on before helping LWX and Chris down in the bot lane. And he's always going to be able to function as a primary engager for the side of FPX.
Yep, go fast or go last. That's kind of the Doinby motto. We are seeing eStars winning out on the bot side pretty heavily.
It is nice to see. This wasn't what we expected. And again, this isn't a matchup we've seen all too much. We have had it a few times, but Samir are going to have a nice time in this laning phase. But FPX, we know what their composition. It's all about topside, right? The split map is probably going to come out as we see Bo go towards the mid lane. And
oh, Irma's really low HP. Has to use a cleanse to get out of this one, but he might be falling down right here. Oh, he finally gets the shield onto himself, so he's going to stay alive. They're a very close situation, which I honestly thought he was dead.
I also like that Bo didn't flash aggressively, because he potentially could have, right? But yeah. I think at that time, Chelsea wasn't showing on in lane, so they didn't have knowledge from Fog of War. So Bo respecting, he got the lane pressure for Doinby. That's all you needed. It is a bit of a win because you think about it right now, Irma will be missing it on EXP and Gold in the mid lane, assuming Doinby is able to force this one in.
And Chelsea stands his ground, gets a bit of a stun onto Crisp, and actually wins out on that trade. And as you were talking about, in terms of mid lane, Rat actually just going in directly. He's going to get the WQ combo onto himself and lose a huge chunk of HP. Trying to go for that trade. Kind of an interesting one.
Just both supports having the tankiness and early base damage to just kind of go back and forth with these handshake trades. Interestingly enough, we're seeing Hacker play Invade on the top side jungle with the fact that Irma did get that reset off and now does have Prio in the mid lane.
Bo did see that Swirl Seed, so he's going to try and play the ambush on the Invader. Doesn't really find that one. It looks like Hacker is going to be able to walk out. He could have potentially been three-man surrounded right there. Does find the exit route.
Yep, Lilia very good at those kind of invades, right? You kind of just get in, you try to drive by, take the camp, and get out with the movement speed you do get from the passive of, you know, hitting camps or enemy champions. With the fact that Nuguri was pushed in, he didn't want to risk a potential collapse, despite the fact that Talia is quite hard to play in those 1v1 duels, right? Because if you do miss the seismic shove, a lot of your combo is just outright missed. It is very easy for Lilia to dodge out as well with that movement speed.
Yep, but is able to get out onto this one, and, you know, I've always found it kind of interesting, but so far it doesn't seem like we have seen the sort of Moonstaff combination come out from the LPL Lilias. Kind of want to get your take on that one, and if it will become the mainstay, because, you know, statistically it does look like, just on paper, it just feels like the superior build.
I think it's a superior build, probably in like 9 out of 10 cases, Clement, but me and you actually had this conversation right before broadcast. And my intuition is, having worked on teams for so long, that it's about feel for a lot of these pro players. I'd say especially outside of the West, where the West is getting a lot of these analysts who are, you know, actually do the math that we don't really have in the likes of like PCS, LMS, LPL. You can't feel all the raw healing you're getting out of that kind of build.
Crisp goes in for the combo. Chelsea does have to flash out, but can't get out of the seismic shove. This looks like it's going to be first blood over to FPX. A very long wait on the side of Bo, but they're able to close out the kill. Now we do have Hacker going in as well, trying to make sure that Rat can pick up this wave. In the meantime, Nuguri is going to use his ultimate. ZS still holding on to his here. And we do see Nuguri with a very sizable CS lead and a turret plating to go, just completely 1v1ing ZS here.
And it goes along with the build that ZS has gone. Typically, if you want to be able to contest Connect in an early laning phase as the Ornn, you would say, hey, I don't really care about the Bomby Cinder. I'm going to go plated Steel Caps and Bramble Vest and only play for my lane. Instead, he's trying to get that faster team power spike. But we're going to go into the replay. Really nice Headbutt Pulverized combo coming out from Crisp. He is able to lock Xiaoxi down with that E, which sets up the Seismic Shove into the full Talia combo. And then the nice Condemn coming out from Vayne. Just a really nice chain CC coming out from the side of FPX. And looking at FPX's comp, you have so much lockdown to set up for all this Talia damage. It must feel so good for Bo to play this champion right now.
And it definitely feels like they're trying to make him a main carry, as we see Xiaoxi now heading into the top side. This is going to be a 3v1. Nuguri with the Spidey senses does drop the ward down, but eStars are still going to go in. Nuguri actually dodges out on the ultimate, but still going to fall down. Nothing much he can do or outplay here in this situation. FPX do have the cavalry running in. Doinby already with the flash popped. He's going to try and find some comeback kills. Bo is stunned up, but he still finds the kill here. Hacker still doing a lot of damage. It looks like he might be able to take the Talia down, and with Irma arriving on the scene, they're going to make this a 4v3 overall, but in the meantime, LWX is going to get a PvE scenario. Nobody really heading into this bottom side, so looks like eStars are going to get a kill and 2 kills, excuse me, and the Herald on the top side, while giving up a lot of gold on the bottom.
I really like that sequence of plays coming out from eStar, though, Clement. We saw Xiaoxi, after he died, out of base, realize, hey, ooh, I'm going to pause.
Barat actually goes a little bit too close to the Crocodile, as Nuguri does teleport onto the scene. I'm not sure who got the Herald just yet. Doinby is still in the thick of things, and the fight is not over just yet. Bo used his combo, didn't find the target, but he might be able to get Irma. Irma has to flash out of the Q here, and things do look like they sort of simmer down, but through all of this, LWX gets more time on that tower.
Yeah, the whole sequence of the past 2 minutes have just benefited the side of FPX. LWX not sharing EXP, not sharing gold, getting everything to himself, while eStar are all sharing resources. They did get the kills and they did get the Herald, so it is a bit of a silver lining. But going back in time, assuming we aren't going to get some kind of pop-out action, for eStar, they were losing the both bot 2v2 and the top side 1v1. So after Xiaoxi went down, we saw him realize, hey, we're going to give up resources on a bot, overload the top side of the map to get the kill onto Nuguri. Doinby didn't take TP, so they actually don't have a way of responding to the dive. And then for FPX, they just get greedy. They think they can force it. Irma actually has Unsealed Spellbook, was able to match the TP, and they win out big. So luckily, it was kind of able to get something back for their bot lane losing out so much. But FPX, they kind of keep ramming their face into the wall, and they are able to pick up some kills, and again, they keep getting gold onto the likes of LWX. So I don't feel like that was a bad trade at all for FPX's side. But they probably could have, exercised some restraint, Clement. Just throwing that out there.
I definitely agree with you. Like, if you look at the CS difference in the bot lane and the top lane and the turret plating difference, to be able to hold within 2,000 gold, I think is actually quite impressive for eStars here. And just taking a look at the gold graph, as you were mentioning, Irma actually being out ahead in gold, and also Xiaoxi with the extra turret platings on those roams is staying abreast with Crisp as well. So definitely eStars trying to find trades and making sure they aren't just losing out for nothing.
That's the thing, right? If they just stayed standard lanes, they would just slowly bleed out. They're trying to find a point to pivot to, as Doinby's going in.
Oh, and it will be Bo that actually steals away the dragon, so a huge win right here. Irma still staying on the sidelines. He's going to be able to take down Bo. Rat finds his first kill, but LWX is very fed at this point. He's going to come in and be the cleanup crew. 2 kills going over to him as well, and just looking at it, it is a full win for FPX. They get the kill lead. They also walk away with the objective. Great steal on Bo.
Yep, nice performance coming out from him. It is really interesting to see also how Doinby's playing the set. He didn't have the ghost in that exchange, but we highlighted earlier, right? He is going to be the primary engager on his team. We see that here with the ultimate. Bo with a very nice smite to steal that one away. Doinby is obviously just so tanky, throws up the haymaker, gets his shield as well. Really good damage coming out from LWX onto Xiaoxi, then flashes in and finishes off the Samira. Just really highlight plays coming out from him, and it goes back to what we talked about in Game 1. He just always knows when to flash forward, when is the time to make these aggressive plays.
Looks like Irma is going to have a little bit of trouble right here as Bo does come flying in from the left side.
That was pretty much a solo kill, Clement. That was pretty much a solo kill.
Sharing with friends is always better, but I take your point. This Taliyah-centric composition is definitely working out for them. As eStars tries to find a little bit of comeback onto the bottom, they do have the Herald right there. Not going to drop it just yet, as is pretty standard. They want some early platings down for that one. And LWX and Chris are going to come in to defend, so it doesn't look like eStars are going to be able to take that first brick anytime soon.
Nope, and I mean, for FPX, they're still just, in your own words, Clement, straight chilling. They're just getting gold all around the map. They're completely fine with the lane setups. They're playing around their timings of the Taliyah wall, and when they can, like we highlighted earlier, get that pressure from Taliyah ganking a lane and transferring that somewhere else, and they've been doing quite well.
Yeah, we also see LWX sitting right here over 24 CS lead, so that's going to be 4 minion waves that he has acquired over Rat. And just a fun fact, he is running his own World's Champion skin, the 2019 FPX Vayne. You know, it's a kind of an interesting thing, but there was a lot of fans that were like sort of up in arms that LWX actually got the Vayne skin before Uzi. But hey, that's life, and congratulations to him. Does look pretty slick.
You know, my favorite champion that I saw LWX play in 2019 wasn't the Vayne, wasn't the Kai'Sa, but I really liked his Lucian. This guy was an extremely good Lucian when no one was playing Lucian.
Yeah, I remember that one. He always had advantages in lane for that one. Nuguri is most likely going to be able to get away from this one. We do see the ultimate ZS coming down. Nuguri actually flashing straight back in. A little bit of a head scratcher of a flash there. Trying to outplay things, but the timing was a bit off. Now Doinby is coming in to help his fellow Korean. Well, I guess Doinby can mourn his death. Probably not going to get anything here. Yeah, just going to chase him off for a little bit of priority here. Does find the stun onto Hacker, surprisingly. Uses the Stride Breaker, is going to put a little bit of damage as Bo is heading towards the top lane. But can he actually get here fast enough? I don't think so. So Doinby actually has to burn a flash for that one. Irma finds the perfect interception, and Bo might just go down. He does fall down, and Doinby overplays his hand. It's going to be a 3-for-0 trade on the top side for eStars.
Oh, but we see Nuguri TP right back in, but they're going to get away. Still, FPX's bot lane ends up getting a turret in the end. This goes back to what we said about FPX last game, that, you know, you can empathize and understand their ideas, but the execution of them just aren't too crisp, you know, to play off some words, because
they were missing crisp.
Doinby could have been a bit more patient, right? It would have been fine. Even if you don't pick up any kills off that play, wouldn't have ended up as bad as it did. I'd be interested if we do get a replay of the initial gank on Nuguri, because he actually did a good job slice and dicing out of the Swirl Seed, and I'm kind of wondering what he was thinking he was flashing away from. I think either way, whether he flashed or didn't, he was dead. He did get hit by the Lilia Q, so the Lilia ultimate was going to end up stun locking him anyway.
Okay, we're going to be waiting on a replay for that one, but in the meantime, Bo nearly finds the solo kill onto Rat. However, he likely will pay with his life as the Infernal Trigger does go down. Xiaoxi finds the kill onto that one. Bo had full vision of both the support and the AD carry, but he wanted to, you know, he wanted to hedge his bets right there, and all of a sudden, FPX actually give up 4 unanswered kills.
And, you know, right there, Bo thought his full combo would be enough to just a straight up 100-0 the likes of Rat. Wasn't able to, got punished for trying to make that gamble play. But FPX, well, the whole time the top half of the map are just kind of creating shenanigans. LWX and Chris are doing, you know, the Lord's work, just kind of snowballing the gold, the objectives, and making sure that FPX can still win this game.
This is definitely fun times. We don't usually see Doinby and Nuguri get on the clown car, but this time, they're definitely in the front seat.
Yeah, it's weird to see LWX be the one to stay strict, diligent, and just very clean with this gameplay, while the rest of the team are clowning around. But, you know, we are going to get back to 1 Drake for each side. We should start getting to the point where it is that 1-3-1 setup we talked out for the likes of FPX. You aren't going to really see the Taliyah play around the set. The set should just be catching side waves and then rotating mid and playing more of this 1-4 setup. You could have the Taliyah play with the Renekton, though, and try and get him more kills and then set up for this.
Bo is targeted out here and goes down to Rat once again. He was trying to look for another cheeky play around that brush, but ends up paying massively. And, you know, Jordan, I want to ask you this question, but has eStars found enough mistakes from FPX where their teamfight composition might actually have the lead?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's quite perplexing when you realize FPX drafted all of this lockdown to set up the Talia combo, but Bo is just looking to set it up himself from Fog of War. He's still a very new player as Dwinby goes in.
Dwinby does find the stun onto Hacker, but Hacker with the Zanyas is able to delay himself going down. And now Dwinby still going at it again, falls down 1v3 underneath the enemy tower. LWX still doing a lot of damage onto the backside. He's going to be the one that cleans things up. And, you know, there were a lot of questions on whether LWX, you know, did he deserve to get the first Vayne skin of the World Championship? But he's proving that he is very much the savior of FPX in this series.
Man, him and Crisp are just doing so much work. Again, it doesn't matter what's happening. Sure, I think Dwinby did set up that play. You know, despite going down, he was a big part of why LWX was able to clean up. But it's just so nice to see LWX and Crisp really stepping up in this way in these skirmishes. The way we expected this comp to play out at this point, right, was set Renekton to sides. You have the Talia hover with the Renekton. You're probably not going to kill the Ornn, so it's a lot more about transferring those side pressures to mid and looking for that big full-on 5v5 with the set engage coming out from Ghost. But instead, it's just been very messy. FPX looking for very messy picks, as we see here. And if LWX is there, they've been able to just kind of profit off it. Really nice ultimate coming out from Dwinby. We then see the Condemn coming out from LWX, able to lock him down. Chris pops the E flash Qs. They do lock Shalcy down. And then Samira as well to follow up.
Yeah, so LWX definitely picking up with all the kills right here, and taking a look at his build. This is what we have seen from most of our Vaynes. It is going to be the Kraken Slayer into the Phantom Dancer. So a lot of attack speed, a lot of 3 rings being procced by the Silver Bolts here. And we also see a little bit of defense against the double AP. So LWX is going to be extremely difficult to nail down in these teamfights.
And he's just so far ahead of his counterpart in Rat. eStar should have a good time of grouping up as 5 and getting control of mid-wave as they just did. But still, I feel like with how far ahead LWX is, it might not be enough that the rest of the members of FPX have kind of been like trolling, giving away kills. Because they've still actually been catching CS, right? We've seen Nuggery, okay, he's died twice. He still has a 20 CS lead. Dwinby is down quite a bit of CS. But a lot of that has actually just been being funneled into the likes of LWX, so it's still spread somewhere else on your team.
Yeah, so, you know, like you were saying, FPX, if it goes to a team fight, they still might be favored if LWX is able to stay alive through the entirety of it. Like, he's extremely fed at this point, and they're actually going to go straight for the Baron play. eStars definitely know that this is happening. They are rotating ZS over to the play, and it looks like a potential Baron contest between these two junglers. Hacker doesn't find his way in at all, does not have the flash, and that's a beautiful 3-man knockup coming in from Bo. He's going to be cleaning up this team fight. The Ornn is a little bit too late to the action. He has to run away from the situation, and it's about how many players can eStars still keep on the map after this.
Yeah, and FPX gonna profit so much, you're just gonna be able to push through mid. Might even be able to guarantee an inhibitor from this play. Dragon coming up in 15 seconds as well should definitely be FPX's.
Yeah, really interesting play coming out from FPX. They definitely knew that Hacker couldn't get across the wall and didn't have his flash, so they were willing to chance a relatively early Baron here. 20 minutes was the time when the Baron actually went down, so right about as it spawned, and LWX is playing 1v3 here without any fear.
Hey, he has flash, he has cleanse.
Oh, it does look like there were actually a lot of members waiting on the sidelines right here as they go in. They found multiple kills, and it looks like FPX are about to clean up this game. That was all a bait, using LWX to the maximum efficiency. FPX definitely very, very well versed in how to play around their AD carry. They're chasing down the final member on eStar. They're going to make it an ace, and this is 21 minutes of game time. One of the fastest games that we've seen so far in the LPL. There's no one left to defend eStars. FPX are going to find a clean sweep onto this series. I'm not sure if Lyric is back, but we're going to look at the final kill. Xiaoxi trying to defend, trying to buy some time for Irma as he comes back onto the map, but I don't think this is going to be enough. Doinby finds another double stun. He's going to be fountain diving, excuse me, right into the laser beams. He doesn't care. He's feeling happy about this one, and we see the thumbs up come out from Irma, recognizing defeat, and FPX are going to find a clean 2-0 series off the back of a great performance from LWX.
And Clement, I feel like clean is definitely one word to describe it. It was clean from some members. I feel like Crisp having an amazing performance that game as well. LWX stepping up to dish out his damage. And it is kind of refreshing to see that even with some of these execution mistakes, some of these, I'd say, coordination errors, some rookie mistakes coming in from Bo, that they can still finish these games so decisively off the level of skill they have, off the fact that they still weren't losing minion waves and they still weren't giving over any neutral objectives over to the likes of eStar.
Yeah, this definitely feels like FPX knows how to play the early skirmish games. eStars never really got a team fight. They never had that 5v5 that they were looking for going this entire series, not just game 2, but game 1 as well. It's just they never got to play around their win conditions, and FPX just understood what they had to do so damn well. They completely deny their opponents any agency, and that's what we expect out of a veteran team.
Yeah, definitely nice to see here from the side of FPX, and the question is going to be how far can they go with this roster, because there's definitely a lot of room to grow, right? Bo definitely still has some things he